Welcome to Alchemical Science. I am Jordan, an open source and independent researcher currently covering everything to do with Malcolm Bendel's thunderstorm generator technology and plasmoid unification model. Alright, I've got some new bits and pieces to share about the thunderstorm generator. First, we've received a ton of photos from the Zurich Exceptional Technology Conference provided by photographer Rio Werner Houser. So this is the conference that I covered Bob's talk of the other day. And in the meantime, I've got a few more announcements and updates about the tech and the conference. So I'll start to flick through some of the photos I've been sent of the prototype and Malcolm and Bob at the conference while I speak about all of those updates. First, many of you may have experienced my low-key wrath in the comments when you asked where the complete specs and the build guide for the thunderstorm generator are. I've had my head pretty deep in this for a while, and I can tell you for a fact that every known specification and detail about the prototypes is already out there. But that being said, I realize that I feel this way because I've had my head so deep in this research for a while. So you are totally right. Very few people are going to have the time to put those pieces together, and the next step here is obviously to enable scientists and home experimenters to be able to easily replicate the thunderstorm generator and assist in building empirical data. So I'm working currently on a complete DIY thunderstorm generator build guide, which will be released pretty soon. We're simulating the entire process in 3D and cataloging every specification, where to get the parts, how to construct it, the operating principles, and anything else I can think of. It should get you building one at any rate, no matter whether you're prototyping in a home garage or you're an academic or a professional trying to do more research on this. I'm working with other independent scientists who are actively researching this technology, doing their own prototyping, to give you something as cohesive as possible on this one, so hold out. And if you can afford to donate to the channel to enable me freedom to keep working on these projects, it's really appreciated. There's a donate link in the description, super thanks button below, or you can also hit the join button and become a monthly supporter of the channel, and you'll get bonus access to download any of my own slides and diagrams that I produce for the videos. And this is quite helpful for the maths stuff if you've been following those videos. So, and to those who've already contributed in some way or you've been sharing my videos, thanks. Yeah, you're really directly enabling me to put as much time as possible into this and stay open source. So yeah, thanks guys, awesome. So if you've been waiting for the complete guide, it is coming. Thanks for your patience, and I'm really happy to condense this information for you to get more people experimenting and sharing their results. So I hope you've been enjoying these photos so far from the conference that we've been flicking through while I'm talking. You can find a number of new short videos that Bob took there also on the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project YouTube channel. So as usual, check out those links in the description if you want to delve deeper into this. But I'll give you a really brief update as to what you can find there, to just tell you, you really should go check this out if you're interested. You can go and see what catches your interest. So the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project is completely independent of Malcolm, like myself, and they're now actively researching and testing the thunderstorm generator themselves, and Bob's obviously been quite involved with this conference and rebuilding the retrofit just before the conference and then presenting without Malcolm's input there. So they've uploaded a much higher quality of Bob's presentation at the conference. So if you want to check out the slides and Bob's full talk that I've spoken about in my last video, you can now go and check that out on their channel. And you can also find a video of them running the newly constructed retrofit for the first time and performing some temperature measurements, and Malcolm discussing the UK test data. Malcolm mentions here, because it's a question I've been asked a few times, that they've currently achieved fuel efficiency increases of 13% under load and 50% not under load, and they're continuing to optimize this. So there's a video of Malcolm demonstrating that reduction in carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide as usual to the audience there. And although they weren't the best results from the prototype we've seen yet, as usual, it worked just fine, and the decreases in carbon and increase in oxygen were highly significant. And there's a bunch of close-up videos of them working on the prototype before the conference, lots of close-ups of the parts and last-minute behind-the-scenes work. Even Malcolm talking about his balls creating time-space anomalies. So gritty detail, my friends. But all jokes aside, there is a boatload of information in these short videos and plenty of new tidbits about the prototype that will be included in the DIY build guide that I'm producing at the moment. So last but not least, there's some footage of Malcolm sharing some history and the story of the week he spent with Martin Fleischmann, one of the pioneers of cold fusion technology, with the audience. And this is well worth taking the time to watch, as it's an interesting story and it adds some context to his goals and his struggles with getting this technology out there. Malcolm clearly states publicly to the audience once again that he is 100% committed to open sourcing all of this as he goes, and I believe him on this, absolutely, as this is exactly what he's done so far. In other news, Randall Carlson's really broken his silence on what's happened there at the beginning with his interview on Joe Rogan with Graham Hancock, recently on the Before School podcast, and a few others before that he has spoken about it briefly. And I've just avoided this controversy completely so far, and I will of course continue to. But if you want to know what happened there from the horse's mouth, or you're still confused or hung up about all of that, go hear Randall out. Essentially, he just had no idea how much this was going to blow up and change the world. He accidentally outed Malcolm a little bit earlier than everyone, including Malcolm himself was ready to deal with this. And then Joe jumped the gun when Jamie pulled up some old hit pieces about Malcolm's Australian oil operation and spiritual views 10 minutes before his first meeting with him. Malcolm got defensive because he thought he was there to talk about the tech rather than defend his credibility, and Randall struggled to calm the whole thing down, but it didn't really. The podcast didn't get published by mutual agreement by all parties because it sucked and no one was happy about how it went. And the bottom line here is just forget about the personality politics. Everyone's flawed. They'll rectify the weird way this came out, and I suspect we'll see Randall speak about the tech with Joe again in the near future, just based on research, test results, and hopefully that'll be all sorted out. So focus on the tech itself, the test data, the specs coming out, and your own ability to think critically, and you'll make a lot more sense of things than trying to follow these narratives. But more importantly, Randall goes through some evidence and concepts about the Plasmoid technology throughout history, and he goes further into his views on the tech. So jump over to the Before School podcast and check all of that out if you're interested in hearing Randall's take, which you should be. Last update for today, I'm getting quite a number of researchers emailing me, messaging me, who want to help with the work on this tech and keep up to date with everything that's going on, or you want to ask technical questions about the retrofit, and this is all great. I'm at my personal limits to respond to everyone, but I'm happy to start a Discord server where we can begin to collaborate and build resources around this together and just communicate as a larger community. But before I do this, I need a volunteer to moderate this forum. The only requirement here is that I'd be starting this open discussion only for constructive purposes, so we know that the tech does work, we know it does crazy things, we now need more data, peer review, more research, more people prototyping the thunderstorm generator and sharing their results. So if you share in this ethic and you think you can keep a bunch of enthusiastic, snappy scientists and hobbyists with controversial scientific opinions all in line without suppressing constructive information, I invite you to reach out and volunteer your time as a Discord moderator, and we'll make this happen. So if one or two people are happy to do this, I'll set it all up, and my own role will be to catalog all the available reference materials and videos that are already out there and reach out to the researchers I'm in contact with to invite them to share their personal thoughts and results as they prototype, if they're willing. So that's about all for this update. Tomorrow we're rumored to hear some big announcements from Malcolm and the Strike Foundation, as well as some new test data from some independent scientists conducting their own retrofit trials. So I aim to cover all of these in the next 24 to 48 hours, so stay tuned. A lot is happening. So thanks for watching, and thanks for your continued support and encouragement.